Y'all better make it light on yourselves and let me have those seats. Are you gonna move? No. If you don't give me that seat, I'm gonna have you arrested.
Well, she's sitting in the colored section.
Grandpa, I think I hate white people.
Only thing you need to remember is that you're as good as anybody else. White, black, or green with stripes. Don't ever be afraid of what can happen to you if you're fighting for what's right. As long as you keep that with you, then hat'll be a word for other people.
Hello? This is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaking. Who's this? Who? I'm on my way.
Rosa Parks.
I heard you were wrongfully convicted of a crime today.
Yes, I was on the bus and I was forced out of my seat even though I was in my section. And I decided today was a day I would stand up for not only myself but every colored person.
Is this the first time this has occurred?
Yes, this is the first time I stood up.
And we need to put an end to this. We need to do something about this. I have a dream.
That my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Rosa Parks was born on February 4, 1913 in Alabama. She was of African, Cherokee, Creek, and Scots-Irish ancestry. Her mother, Leona, was a teacher. Her father, James McCauley, was a carpenter. She attended the Industrial School for Girls in Montgomery, Alabama. She attended the Alabama State Teachers College for Negroes for secondary education. She completed high school in 1933 at the age of 20. She married Raymond Parker, a barber, in 1932. Her husband, Raymond, joined the NAACP in 1932. She had no children. She had one brother. His name was Sylvester. It took her 3 tries to register to vote in Jim Crow, Alabama. She began working as a secretary in Montgomery chapter of the NAACP in 1943. In 1944, she briefly worked at Maxwell Air Force Base, her first experience with integrated services. One of her jobs within the NAACP was as an investigator and activist against sexual assaults on black women. She also served as the Montgomery NAACP chapter youth leader. In 1944, she investigated the case of Reese Taylor, a black woman who was raped by 6 white men. She helped to form the Alabama Committee for Equal Justice for Mrs. Reese Taylor, which was described as the Chicago Defender as the strongest campaign for equal justice to be seen in a decade. In the summer of 1955, she attended the Highlander Folk School, an education center for activism in workers' rights and racial equality in Mont Eagle, Tennessee. She was a member of the African Methodist Episcopal Church.
Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. His original name was Michael, not Martin. At the age of 12, he tried to commit suicide after the passing of his grandmother. King wasn't the only one that died at Lauren Motel in Memphis. The day he was killed, he was out on his balcony for a smoke. Martin Luther King Jr. was nearly assassinated a decade earlier than his ultimate death. King Jr. skipped 2 grades in high school, 9th and 11th. He entered college at the age of 15. He was considering being a doctor or a lawyer instead of a minister. He got a C in public speaking during his first year at seminary. His honeymoon was spent at a funeral parlor. King convinced Uhura on Star Trek to continue the role after the first season. King is to date the youngest male to win Nobel Prize. He donated all the money he received from the Nobel Prize. King won a Grammy and was awarded Congressional Gold Medal and Medal of Freedom. His house was once bombed. His mother was also murdered. King Jr. autopsy revealed stress had taken a major role in his body. It wasn't until the year 2000 that all 50 states honored Martin Luther King Jr. Day. His "I Have a Dream" speech painted an even bigger target on his back. There are only two other people in American history that have a national holiday in honor of their name: George Washington and Christopher Columbus. Today, over 700 streets in the United States have been named after Martin Luther King Jr.